Welcome to Gulfstream.
She's such a kidder.
Welcome to Gulfstream. It is a Thursday. It feels like Friday, but it is Thursday, February 27, 2014. Christina Bossanakis here with Ron Nicoletti, already stirring the pot. That's what Ron does. But we just have we just have so much to look forward to. Such a great weekend, and really the weekends here at Gulfstream just have been and are just great racing.
Yeah, just great racing, and we have, of course, on Saturday the Swale Stakes and the Palm Beach. But before that, today actually we still have that huge carryover in the Rainbow Six. You see it up there, 1.587 million. I mean, that is amazing to me.
It is, and that starts in race 5, and we really have a really good card on tap today. Several races, several horses, and I'm seeing that I'm looking forward to seeing them come back. And as you mentioned, we did have a couple of races. The Swale is on Saturday, and the Palm Beach, and also on Sunday we have a couple of nice races. The Here Comes the Bride and the Caixa Electronica, who's that warrior horse that we lost a little bit too early, and so a race named in his honor. But Ron, we got a lot of stuff to get through today.
Yeah, and then that race on Sunday will have one of our favorite horses, Rebo Bobo. We do have a lot of stuff. Just before we get started, I want to update you on the conditions here at Gulfstream Park. We have a fast main track, we have a firm turf course, and we mentioned the carryover in the Rainbow Six. So now we're ready to go.
Now we can look at race 1, which is a starter allowance with the 50,000 horses that have which have started for a claiming price of $50,000. It is a 1.16 miles on the turf course. My top selection, I went with number 6, and that is Aventurine. And I see that we're in agreement here.
Yeah, she's making her first start since a couple of really solid performances here last year. She broke her maiden at the $50,000 level, then backed that right up with a second place finish against $50,000 optional claimers. Oh, and the trainer is Todd Fletcher. He's 30%, but horses returning from a longer than 180-day layoff, and our leading rider Javier Castellano in the iron. So lots of things to like about the number 6 Aventurine, but coming off that long layoff.
I also used number 1, and that's Bustle from the Mike Maker barn, and Mike Maker also just having a great meet in tandem with Ken and Sarah Ramsey. And although this filly's best race was on the synthetic, she has handled the turf, and I thought I would throw her in the mix too.
Yeah, one Bustle 5 for 10 in the money on the turf showed. It looks like she's ready to score today. He's ready to score today.
And looking on to the second race on the card, which is a 16,000 claiming event. It is 7 furlongs on the main track, and this race kicks off the early pick 4. And my top selection, I went with number 4, Drumroll, and trained by the aforementioned Mike Maker.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you. We have the same exact number 4, Drumroll, facing these $16,000 condition claimers, stretching out to the 7 furlongs. And I like to see horses that run well at this distance. 2 starts, 1 win, 1 second. Bobbled at the start last time out and got beat 2.5 lengths. So I think this horse is ready to score, you know, as long as he can get away from the starting gate trouble-free, and got the 2 Holden Bullets in second.
I think Holden Bullets going to be showing speed, and I'm not really sure who else is going to be showing speed in there. It looks like probably Holden Bullets is the one who's going to be holding bullets.
Yeah, he's going to be holding the bullets, and if you've been watching the races, I mean, in general, throughout the last couple of weeks, speed has been the prevailing theme on the main track here. And yesterday, when you're doing your handicapping for the Rainbow Six, speed was awful good on the turf course yesterday. It's hard to gauge. We haven't run any races yet, so just throwing that out so you know about that.
And on to the third race on the card, which is a 12-5 claiming event. It is 6 furlongs on the main track. And it looks like we're in agreement again. We went with number 6, and that's a Sizzlin' Bee, coming into this off of a second-place effort, just beaten 3 lengths last time. That was December 20th. However, we're getting a break in an ease in the class.
Yeah, I mean, he was facing multiple winners. You're going to go against 2 lifetime foes today. And I think just because of that, she fits perfectly here. The trainer is Antonio Sano. He's got Luis Saivez handling the stretch out now today to 3/4 of a mile. So looks like 2 lifetime is the perfect condition for number 6, Sizzlin' Bee. Used the 1, Letting Go, and the number 5, Bears Dixie on my trifecta ticket.
And looking on to the fourth race on the card, and it is a 35,000 claiming test. It is a mile on the main track. There is one scratch, number 7, JB's Unk. And that was significant for me, Ron, because that was my top selection. But I ended up going with number 2, Broom Street, and who's coming into this off of a pretty impressive win by 5.5 lengths. And if you look at previously, the horse's previous race, that was just too tough. So I think if he runs back to that recent race, he'll be okay in here.
Yeah, what I like about Broom Street, 12 previous races here at Gulfstream Park on the main track. He's got 3 wins, 3 seconds, and 1 third. But I did go with number 6, Mo Man, who's dropping to the 35,000 level. First start since finished third. That was in the slop. It was against $50,000 claimers. It was at Churchill on November 17th. Ian Wilkes, he's pretty good with this type of layoff, about 20%. He's got Julien Leparoux in the saddle today. So number 6 on top of my ticket, but also have the 2, Broom Street.
Folks, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and have a look at the 5th on the card. That kicks off that Rainbow 6, and there is a carryover. It's over $1.58 million.
The OBS March 2-year-old sale is the Grade 1 source to the world, with undefeated juvenile champion Asia Express in Japan, Grade 1 juvenile stakes winners by Conquistadore, Secret Compass, and Bondholder, King's Bishop winner Capo Bastone, and Breeders' Cup Sprint winner Secret Circle in North America. Make plans to find your next Grade 1 winner at the OBS Selected 2-year-old sale, March 10th and 11th. OBS, we measure success by performance.
ExpressBet brings you a whole new way to play the races. An easier, better way to wager on your favorite tracks. With a more streamlined interface for faster wagering. With more handicapping insights from our world-class experts. With more racetracks, nearly 200 to choose from. And with your personalized multi-view wagering screen, your tracks, your wager pad, and your video are all on one page. It's simply the best way to play the races. Your way. Welcome to ExpressBet. Your way to play.
Welcome back to Gulfstream. We're going to have a look at the 5th race on the card that kicks off that Rainbow 6. There is a carryover, so over $1.58 million. So Ron, let's get into it and let's just see what we can do, how far we're going to have to spread in this, because we've both landed on the same horse, and that's number 6, Theater Star, and this is a 4-year-old daughter of Warfront, and she showed speed last time. She's coming into this off of 2 consecutive victories, one on the dirt, actually one was on the turf. The first was on the turf at Aqueduct back in November. The latest was in an off-the-turf event, so she's shown that she can run both on the dirt, on the main track, and on the turf. Yeah,
and I just think she's spotted perfectly against $25,000 optional claimers in here, and you mentioned all the reasons why. She's a lightly raced daughter of Warfront, so looks like she has a lot of positive upside. I went with the number 7, it's Second Divine Luck, stretching out to a mile in the 16th today. First starts and get beating 2.5 lengths by a repeat winner called Antonia Autumn. It was a pretty nice horse that was going a mile. Shug McGay, Joel Rosario, so lots of things to like there. But I think you got to you can't just single Theater Star in here. I used the 7 Divine Luck and the 8 Ardingly, and Ardingly, if you're not aware, will race with blinkers off today.
A couple of horses. I also used number 3 Starship Jody, and I'm hoping might be showing some speed in there if she doesn't get tackled by Theater Star early. And also number 2 South Shore, and this is a daughter of Arch, a 5-year-old mare by Arch, and she's coming off of a race. She was 7th last time, and that was on January 12th, and that was the same race that you were talking about, that Antonia Autumn and Ifraj Pink, they finished 1-2 in that race. And I think, but she was coming back off a long layoff, and I think she's going to step forward off of that effort.
Just in what we mentioned right there, you have to go a little deep in here. We both had the 6 on top, but after that it gets, you're pretty wide open. So I would use a couple of extra horses in the opening event of the Rainbow 6.
On to the 6th race on today's card, and it's a starter allowance. And this is an interesting condition, Ron, because this race initially it almost came off like a stake. It is a mile and an eighth on the turf course. We do have a significant scratch, and that's number 2 Star Channel, who won the Sunshine Millions turf. So that was a significant scratch in here. But we're left with a pretty nice cast of characters. We also have number 5 Bellfire's out. I ended up with number 3 Hard Enough. Now, I really liked, and I used Hard Enough last time. I liked him. I saw him at Monmouth Park. He won the Restoration. He won the Jersey Derby. He's got speed, and he really didn't show up last time. And I'm looking forward to talking to Bobby DeBona later to find out what happened to this horse, because he showed speed and he pretty much stopped in his latest effort.
Well, I lost my top pick in here, as you mentioned, was a pretty significant scratch, and that's the number 2 Star Channel. So I scratched into the 1 Burn the Mortgage, stretching out to this 9 furlong distance. Previous winner at it, and after returning from a freshening, defeated $50,000 claimers going a mile in the 16th, and in the process boosting its local record to 4 races on the Gulfstream turf with 3 wins and 1 1/3, so 4 for 4 in the money. But my long shot in this race I wanted to mention, and we were talking about this before we came on the air, and that's the number 10, Bingo Bango Bongo. Going to cut back to 9 furlongs today. I thought it was an ambitious outing last time out in the 11 furlong McDarminer, but this horse 12 for 20 in the money on the turf. Spotted well today. 12 starts, 4 wins, 4 seconds, 4 thirds, and really likes this 9 furlong distance. Won 50% of its races at the distance. 4 starts, 2 wins. So the number 10, Bingo Bango Bongo on my ticket. And I'm going to use that one in the Rainbow Six, because that's the kind you have to use to try and separate it so you can get that $1.5 million ticket.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned him, because and as we were talking about, I had spoken to Joe Cantonese after that race, and he was pleased with that race. It was a very tough spot. He thought he ran pretty well. The horse was beaten less than 5 lengths, and it was understandably a very, very tough spot for him. So I agree with you. I think that he might have, he fits a lot better in this race. Maybe he's going to be showing speed with Russian Greek and Hard Enough. Who do you think is going to be up front early?
I would think Russian Greek might be up there front early, but this horse has a tactical advantage. If you look at his previous races at 9 furlongs, didn't have to have the lead, so I'm going to see how the race plays out. I'm counting on the drop in competition, and exactly what you said last time. Didn't run badly, and that was in a real tough spot, and it was at 11 furlongs.
Looking on to the 7th race on the card, which kicks off the late pick 4, and we've got another pretty interesting event in here, and scratch number 1, Smashing. It is a maiden special weight, 7 furlongs on that main track. And Ron, I went with number 2, Vita Vittoria. I liked this filly last time. She didn't really show a whole lot. She showed some run. She had some run early, and then she faded late. She was beaten 5.5 lengths, but that was coming back off of a layoff. She also didn't have a great start, and we can have a look at that start right now, Ron. That's a pretty significant stumble.
Yeah, she went right to her nose in that start, so didn't run badly after that start where she almost dumped and dropped.
Yeah, and as I said, so she, then they try to hustle her up, and she's beaten 5.5 lengths. But I think she's a really nice filly. I think she's going to get back on the winning page here, and I put her on top.
I went with the number 5 in here, Renaud's Lapin, or whatever you pronounce it.
Renaud Lapin.
Renaud's Lapin. I knew she'd get the French part in here. Well, this one is turning back to 7 furlongs on the dirt after dueling for the lead and weakening to get 2 lengths, going a mile and 16th on the turf. And why I'm mentioning that, this is my favorite angle. As you know, I love speed on the grass, turning back to 7/8 of a mile, and it doesn't hurt that the trainer is Todd Pletcher, who's 30% with the turf to dirt angle, and he's got Javier Castellano. He's got another horse in this race that'll be ridden by Johnny Velasquez, and that's the 8 Atlantic Dream. But I'm going to hang my hat on number 6, Renaud Lapin.
Who's actually very well related too. She's a half to Dr. Fong, who was a Group 1 winner in England, and also to another horse named Lucky Story, who was a champion or a 2-time champion or high weight in England or in Europe as well. So very nice pedigree. And I also used a couple of other horses in there on number 3, Maggie, from the Rick Violet barn, and coming into this off of a 2nd place effort. Now that was back in May of 2013, but I like the horses that the company she was keeping, and if she gets back to running those types of races, I think she could be in the mix.
I used her on the ticket too for all the reasons you mentioned. Alex Solis atop this. She's a lightly raced 4-year-old, so there's a lot of upside again there with the number 3 Maggie, and you see her selections up there. So once again, this is not an easy Rainbow Six today.
Yeah, I decided with I see that you used number 8 Atlantic Dream, and that was the other Todd Pletcher horse in there. And I generally say with the Todd Pletcher horses especially, one will always take a lot more money money, and usually the other one's going to be overlooked. And this particular horse, I left off my ticket. She is a full to graded stakes winner, and that's Icy Atlantic. And she seems to always be in the mix without really wanting to win. And I just think she's just too inconsistent. And that's why I left her off my ticket. But she'll be the one that's just going to, of the two Fletchers, that's going to jump up and probably win
that usually happens.
Yeah, that's what happens with that guy. On to the 8th race on today's card. It is a 30,000 claiming event. It is a mile and a 16th on the turf course. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm not skipping things. And so it is a mile and a 16th, and my top selection, I went with number 4, Dysprosium, and who's going to be showing speed today, Ron.
Yeah, and it just changed hands today going to the Albany Marat barn. I went the other way with the one Eternal Ruler, moved to the Mike Maker barn. So we got these two recent claims battling each other. It looks like one's the speed, one's the stalker. Which way you want to go? I went with Eternal Ruler with Dysprosium in second in the race. And then the number 10 horse, I don't know if you used it, I found interesting, and that's Newfound Zapper. We'll hustle with these $30,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime claimers after failing to score. But that was a really tough group of $25,000 optional claimers, which included a horse called Alakti, who won the Grade 1 Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap in its very next start. So keying off that, I'm going to throw the number 10 Newfound Zapper onto my ticket.
Yeah, I think Newfound Zapper. I actually had number 9 Trading Secrets. That was the one that I threw on my ticket, who's probably going to be showing some speed too, and also from the Jorge Navarro barn. And it's really hard to lead Navarro off the ticket as well. On to the 9th race on today. Excuse me. On to the 9th race, and it is a 75,000 allowance optional claiming event. It is a mile and a 16th on the main track, and really nice race and competitive race. I think we have got a couple of really nice fillies in here that we might see later on this spring in the classics, and one of them is number 4, and that is Rosalind. She's a 3-year-old filly by Broken Vow from the Ken McPeak barn. She is my top selection, and if we go back, she was running against Stakes Company last year, including a really nice 3rd place effort, just beaten a half a length in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and that was November 2nd. We can have a look at that race. And, Ron, she gets beat by 2 fillies. She's a Tiger, Ria Antonia, finished ahead of her that day. And She's a Tiger was taken down. Ria Antonia was given that win. But She's a Tiger was 2-year-old champion filly for 2013. So she was beaten by 2 very, very nice fillies, and she closed really impressively in that race.
Well, she's returning to action today with blinkers on, which I think are going to help. But let's just go through her. I'm going to put the glasses on because she had an amazing sophomore campaign. Freshman campaign. Frustrating. She was 4th in the Hollywood Starlet. That's a Grade 1. Then she comes back. She's beaten a half length, and as we just saw in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, 2nd in Alcibiades and 3rd in the Pocahontas. So I'm hoping the blinkers finally get this one to get its picture taken today. So this horse been knocking heads with the best freshman fillies in the country, making a 3-year-old debut today for trainer
Ken McPeak.
Kenny McPeak, and I can forget. I hope his toe is doing better.
But it's just the company that she's been keeping. And even if you look at the Hollywood Starlet where she was 4th, that was on the synthetic. And she's streaming a nice filly from the Bob Baffert barn, and also Untappable, who was 3rd. She just came back and won a graded stake the other day at the fairgrounds. So very, very nice horses. But there are other horses in here. And the one I used, number 7, Birdmaker. And she's a 3-year-old filly by Empire Maker. And she's from the family of Birdtown, who won the Kentucky Oaks, and Birdstone, who won the Belmont Stakes. So beautiful, beautiful pedigree. I know after that latest race on January 31st, I spoke to Ian Wilkes after that race. He wasn't disappointed. She was beaten 12 lengths on that particular occasion, but Ian doesn't have them fully cranked on that first, coming back off a layoff. And he thought a lot of her, and he thought that she was going to move forward off that effort.
Yeah, we have the same exact trifecta. And the 3rd horse that we threw on the ticket was a 5, In Tune, who's going to get its first series class check, but its speed, it's Todd Pletcher, and things could get very dangerous if the track is playing like it's been playing over the last couple of weeks. This one can just get out there, but boy, facing some pretty classy individuals today with the 4 Rosalind and the number 7 bird maker.
Yeah, and I think Comme Chez Soi, who I didn't use on my ticket, and she was well beaten in the slop last time. I also think she's a nice filly from the Michael Matz barn. She's well bred. She's another Empire maker. The mare's a Grade 1 stakes winner who won the La Brea, and I think she's a really nice filly as well, and I think that she's going to come back on a fast track. I think that'll help her, and maybe she could be in the mix of things. Like I said, we can only use so many, right? On to the 10th and final race on today's card. It is a 25,000 claiming event, a mile on the turf course. A few scratches in there, number 2, 9, and 15. And as always, our man Larry Colmus will be on in just a few minutes to give us all the updated scratches and changes for today. However, I went with number 5, and that's Dissension, who really didn't show anything in the slop last time, but I think that I'm hoping that she'll get back to her previous form on the turf.
Yeah, I mean, she ran pretty good on the turf before, so number 5, Dissension, pretty nice odds, and that might help with your Rainbow 6 ticket. And we have the Super High 5. We have a carryover in the Super High 5 of about $9,000
right.
plus in our last race. I went with the 7 Sapphire Blue. Going to try these $25,000 condition claimers after breaking from post 10 last time, using a speed, and she defeated $30,000, 2 lifetime claimers going a mile and 16. I just thought that was a pretty nice race from a tough outside post. It's a speedy daughter of Mr. Greeley, so hoping that the turf course was playing like it was yesterday. I think this horse might have a tactical advantage in the nightcap.
Yeah, sure she will, and also it doesn't hurt when you have Mike Maker. For some reason, Mike Maker with that last race on the card, he's lethal.
He's having a fantastic meeting.
He is, and so we've got a really tough race. I think a tough card today, because I think that maybe they could bring down that Rainbow 6, just because there are several races that you look like you have these favorites that stand out, but they're beatable.
Yeah, they are beatable, and that's what the key to hitting this Rainbow 6, or at least having the one ticket, is you have to find a couple of horses that you got to beat the obvious horses in a couple of races. But we mention this each and every day. Even if you share a 6 out of 6 ticket with somebody else, the payoffs have been fantastic. So it's not only to win that one ticket, it's to try and get in here. And you can make a pretty nice score for a 20-cent wager.
And the pot's big enough that I think it would be, and it is significant. So that's it for Ron and myself. We will be back the rest of this afternoon. So folks, please come back and join us.